Alrighty then, here we are. Today we are playing with fenders. And also, for those of you doubters that don't think the Studebaker will ever be more than a frame, let me show you where it is right now. We've got, obviously, floors and everything built up, insulated. We've got steering, we've got dash, all digital. It's all put back together. Those seats are for mother-in-laws and other folks you don't want in the cab. And then up front, we have conveniently jammed in one small block Chevy 350 with a slightly low P cam and a radiator out of a 1932 Ford Roadster. And that's kind of how she sits. So we are working on fenders. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I do intend to leave the truck the way it sits. I'm not going to paint it. It requires a lot of body work, and I actually like the look of it. So I've taken the paint and Bondo and stuff off of these fenders that I got, and I'm going to do a little welding repair just to make sure they're a little more stable, and really only a couple of spots on this one. We've got a split here, which you can see. And then down on this corner, we've got another area that's actually caved in pretty well. So that's what we're playing with today. So we moved some things around so we have better access. But remember, we're not talking about doing a professional, A1 sort of finished grade repair here. I'm trying to strengthen this, and I'm going to leave it with the rusty farm truck look. So the tools we used, just to kind of get things straightened up a bit, were a combination of bodywork hammers, or plenishing hammers, and then what I like to refer to as the BFH, which is the big freaking hammer, also known as the Tanya Harding. And shout out to Derek on Vice Grip Garage for that. He uses that phrase, and it's hilarious. By the way, he is super, super talented. If you have not looked at his stuff, you should. He's amazing. But anyway, we basically have gotten these things down to where there's closer alignment. And what we've done is we've actually trimmed a piece of sheet metal. You'll notice too that I've actually ground this down to get some reasonably clean metal. We trimmed a piece of sheet metal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp this in, and then we're going to spot weld it, and then I will come around on the other side and fill in the crack with the MIG welder. I had to fight with it a little bit, but basically because I didn't have good contact between the two pieces of metal. But I've got a couple of decent spot welds that are going to give me something to weld against when we flip this over. Here we are on the other side. You can see the spot welds here and there. A couple of other trace ones where we were trying to get some purchase. But that's basically where we are now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a flap disc and clean up this area, and then we'll come back with a MIG welder and just see if we can put a series of small tack welds down there, enough to close that crack, and then we will grind it down and should be good. Welcome back to Old Men Behaving Badly. One quick safety note. Whenever you're working in a garage, make sure that it's always very tidy. You'll see the organizational technique that we're using here. I call it early American garage sale, and thinking about writing a book on it. From a safety standpoint, we've only had one significant fire in the garage where we tried to burn down a jet ski, but I do recommend having one of these around, so at least you've got something to grab when you're running out the door. But as far as welding goes, I'm going to put a link in the comments to a guy named Fitzee who does incredible work. Those of you who are interested in this type of thing, he is just amazing. And he's back with the first example of a screw-up. Take a look at the top weld. If I can get it into focus, you can see that I burnt right through the sheet metal. One of my issues is trying to get the heat right welding so that I don't do this on thin sheet metal like this. I do relatively well on thicker stuff, but struggle with this thin stuff. If you look at this bottom one, I've cut the power way down, and that is better. So I'm going to try and put a series of those in, and then we'll grind it down and see how we look. Well, that's probably about as good as it's going to get. You can see that I've got some crevices in there that I could go back and try and fill with some other spots or tacks, and then grind it down. In a traditional bodywork setting, what you would do here is basically put body glaze or really lightweight filler and fill in all those cracks, and then sand it, prime it, and paint it. But I am not doing any of that, so I will leave it the way it is.